The point is, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help.
Dun 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 dun.
So the entertainment industry is probably fucked. From what I'm observing, they're in an extreme state of denial, probably more than most of the other industries and sectors of our society, in terms of accepting what we're all going through at the moment and the long-term repercussions it's going to have. I hear some talk from the few people I chat with online who have connections to the industry that'll say that I'm half right about all of this, but they got plans. But I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical. They can have all the plans in the world, but I don't know if the time scale that we're looking at matches up. We don't have enough runway to make this jump, kind of a thing. Because while at the national level, they're kind of spooling this out month to month. It looks like. I mean, we're still at the very beginning of it. A lot of things can change because it's easier for the stock markets and investors and voters and senators to be able to deal with legislating for month to month increments. But according to the projections from places like MIT, this whole corona apocalypse is going to take like 18 months to resolve. That's a year and a half. And considering that things aren't just going to immediately pop back into existence the way they were, like this was an Avengers movie, there's going to be a period after that 18 months of slow build up and return. A lot of the things that are being said about the economy getting back up on its feet quickly by June and all that kind of stuff is just to give the stock market and investors something to trade upon, since they're trading on speculations about the future. And I guess, generally just to raise morale, because right now I don't think the powers that be really want to be hammering across the idea that this is going to be life for 2 years. I'll be lucky if the job I have lasts past this month. I overheard one of the corporate people talking about how they're going to wait till April 30th and then make another assessment. And I'm not seeing that assessment go good in my head, so we'll see. But anyway, we're here to talk about the film industry. 18 months. 18 months without any sort of box office returns on all these hugely expensive movies that they now have just sitting around in the can waiting for a window of opportunity to be put out in front of audiences. They have all the various investors who put money to make those movies just sitting there waiting, tapping their feet, tapping their fingers, looking at their watch, wondering what's taking so damn long as their money's not coming back to them. And at the same time, various studios are still trying to get money out of investors as we speak, with promises about projects that they're putting together right now that they can work on in pre-production until the coronavirus is passed and they can finally go in and start filming and all that kind of stuff. All of this shit is pipe dreams. As much as I don't like it, I'd be willing to bet that at least a couple of the movies that are currently right now on hold, that were supposed to be released or released soon, that have been pushed back, might not ever see the light of day. Because the studios and various companies that hold and control that movie might very well be gone by the time that it finds a release window. And the bigger the size of the company doesn't necessarily protect it. Disney had just absorbed so much assets. And now all they have that's up and operating to make money off of is Disney Plus. And they don't really have that much going on Disney Plus to bring people in, and they can't finish and wrap up and push out the shows that they have in the pipeline because the coronavirus prevents people from working together and all that other kind of stuff. Even Disney's survival is questionable. 18 months, a year and a half. Let's just round it up to 2 years because, as I said, it's not like the day they say it's over, everyone's just going to flock to go see the next Black Avengers movie, which I guess will be when Black Widow comes out in the year 2022. I think what they should be doing, instead of making promises about, hey, we're going to make a Mad Max Furiosa prequel, or, hey, we got a season 2 of Star Trek Picard on the way, and don't worry, kids, Mandalorian's coming. Instead of worrying about any of that right now. Hollywood needs to be making money fast. Actors in Hollywood, and not just, and like, let's expand it beyond Hollywood, the entire entertainment infrastructure, the comedians, the musicians, the whole kit and caboodle, they're all like devastated by this and their ability to make a living. Comedians with podcasts, they're probably going to be in the best shape to weather this. And I kind of feel like that's where Hollywood's going to have to go. You need to shave the shit out of your budgets. You need to make a bunch of quickly slapped together live entertainment. Live concerts that you can broadcast, live plays or productions, classic movie scenes but done with hip new actors. Anything that you can put together really simply, that you can keep the people involved in it relatively apart from each other so you're not violating any of the quarantine guidelines. And all framed as basically morale-raising propaganda. And to do all this and to fund all this, Hollywood needs to put its hat in its hand and go up to Donald Trump and kiss the ring to get some funding. Not to make state propaganda saying how great of a guy Trump is or any of that, but just to put out a bunch of stuff that has the basic message of, thank you, America. Because of you and the sacrifices you're making yourself stay at home, we're going to be able to save all these lives, and you're good people, and just reinforcing the ideas that people should be proud of themselves for going through this and staying calm, and to reassure people that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and all other manner of lies. The point is that your industry stays alive, even if it's on life support. But you're going to have to take some government funding, and that means you're going to have to go and kiss the ring. And I know Hollywood's elite hates Donald Trump. Hates him. But, well, I'm not really sympathetic on this, because y'all put up with Harvey Weinstein for fucking decades. So I'm pretty sure if you can put up with that, knowing all full well what was going on about him, open secret kind of shit, if you could put up with that for all that amount of time, then I think you can stomach being in a room with Donald Trump for 5 minutes and taking a couple of photos, shaking his hand, or I guess give him the elbow bump thing instead of shaking hands. Shaking hands is no longer a thing. And you get your damn checks. So you can go have Tom Hanks and Kanye West go play The Odd Couple in a live broadcast rendition of The Odd Couple play. Just any number of things. Just keep the damn streaming services up somehow. Ad revenue is also going to be a huge problem. That's why I'm saying you need to go to the government. Investors, as they slowly catch wise to the fact that all the promises they are being given on anything they sink their money into will not manifest in the time frame that they want that money back. As they start to dry up, it's going to be harder and harder for Hollywood to find funding. It's going to be harder and harder for a lot of companies that are supported by ad revenue to keep getting ad revenue, because as companies close doors, they're not going to be buying ads. In many ways, YouTube critics and new YouTube pundits are better poised to survive this than a lot of like mainstream news. However, that won't be the case if YouTube crumbles and collapses. And it doesn't matter if like there's all this more extra viewership of YouTube making its ad space more valuable. That doesn't matter if there's no one around to advertise their products on YouTube and give them money in the first place. So it's not just that YouTube critics and YouTube pundits are going to be able to survive this, but those of us who just kind of do this as a hobby, as opposed to the people who've made a serious, hardcore career out of YouTubing, their ad revenue is going to go up too. So it's going to get pretty Thunderdome out there, everybody. But we can get through this. The apocalypse, as a word, does not mean the end of times. It's not the destruction of the universe. It's not the end of humanity. The apocalypse just means the great change. And in that form, we are going through an apocalypse. There's a great change that has only just begun. We're just barely a couple weeks into it. Most of us have not hit the anger phase yet. I think I'm kind of in there, and I'm trying hard to get through it and just go ahead and get into acceptance, but I don't think that's going to happen until my job I work for finally folds and I'm forced on unemployment, because right now there's this like hope of like maybe somehow we'll be able to make it, but I keep doing the math in my head and I just don't see enough runway. And I do that same calculation for other people in other industries, and I don't see enough runway. I mean, okay guys, for those of y'all I've spoken to who have said that I'm only half right and that y'all got plans and you got this covered, well, if I knew what those plans were, I'd be able to make a different calculus in my head. I'm making just pure observations just on just basic public knowledge. So, as I had talked recently in a letter that I'd written to Robert Meyer Burnett that he read last week, there was a long period of time where I stopped being a nerd. But it's not like I just turned my brain off during that period. There were other things that filled my attention that I learned about and delved into. So, I'm not the best public speaker, but I'm not as dumb as you might think I am, I guess, let's say. So don't discount me entirely. Other people have, and, well, kiss the ring, get some funding from the government, even if that means that part of your movie studio is going to be taxpayer owned, assuming that that whole thing still happens and does happen and it wasn't just a lie in the first place. Get it into your heads that you can actually provide a very important, vital public service. It's your duty. You know, whether or not you want to think of yourselves that way, Hollywood has always been America's private propaganda department. And right now, the people need propaganda. The people need good propaganda. Propaganda to make everyone feel better and to keep us all sane and feeling connected and feeling like we're doing the right thing and not questioning what's going on and not questioning whether or not we should be out there rioting and looting and tearing the society apart. Because there's a lot of open secrets in our society, and one of which, our ability to enforce things in this country is limited and is largely a bluff. We can't bring a whole bunch of our military back because that would collapse a whole network of military infrastructure around the planet that's keeping World War III at bay. So we can't be just simply just bring all of our assets home to quell an uprising here. And our police, all I'll say is go back. You can probably find some stuff about it on YouTube. Look at footage from the LA riots in the 90s and how the police would react whenever shooting would start to erupt around any of the Korean markets that came under attack during all that. See how they operated in that. In the end equation, when society collapses, the people that the police will protect and serve will be the police. So, we can't afford to let things get to that point. We don't want apocalypse to become Armageddon. So, Hollywood, it's your country needs you. The country that plays host to you, where most of you come from, where you have your houses, where you film your damn sets and have your offices. This country actually needs you right now. Needs you a lot. Needs your biggest, finest, most popular celebrities to come out on television and pat us on the head and tell us that we're good little boys and girls and that we're being nice for staying home, and then sing us some songs and, you know, put on your little outfits and dance around for us and get some basic enough cash to slink your asses back home and learn to live a more humble, minimalistic life. You've spent a long time these last few decades and gone to a lot of effort. And this has been like not some new thing, new talking point for me, but you've been chasing that dollars from China dragon's tail for quite a while now. And here's your moment. Are you an American film industry? Or are you China's bitch film industry? Your country needs you. And because of that, there's an actual lifeline there to help your asses survive. Because right now, promises of a Mad Max Furiosa prequel that won't come out for 3 or 4 fucking years is certainly not good enough for me just as a casual viewer. And if I had millions and millions and millions of dollars and I was thinking of investing in something, I'm not sure if that's what I'd want to invest in, doing all this same calculus on just the sheer bulk of time. No companies are designed for this kind of hardship. No one's got 2 years worth of stockpile of cash that'll keep their books in the black the whole time. It just is what it is. And hopefully MIT is wrong about the 18-month thing. I know it doesn't get a lot of play. It is totally real. Feel free to look it up. But as I say, I think the people at the top of the government and of the news media kind of all understand that this has to be doled out a little bit. Otherwise, if it'll panic people at the top too much, if they're realizing that, the banks, they realize that all the debt's going to have to be annulled in 2 years. Why would anyone be making loans in the next 2 years, knowing that at the end of all this, there's going to have to be a fucking general debt annulment because everything's going to be in too much debt and the economy's going to be too inflated. And the only way to fix that is just to erase the books and start at point zero again. If that can occur to little old me, I'm pretty sure it's occurred to little old Steve Mnuchin. They know what they're doing, but there's a reason why they won't lay out the whole plan ahead of time and tell everybody. So, we'll see. I just can't help but feel that the entertainment industry right now needs to get its head out of the sand and start being more realistic about just how much they've allowed themselves to make things cost. They're all overpaid. Their movies are too bloated. They're using too much technology we don't need. So they need to tone it all the fuck down. Or we never are going to see the Mad Max prequel about Furiosa. Anyway, hit like and subscribe and all that bullshit later.